Welcome to the Soul Craft Your Life podcast. My name is Carmen Marshall, and I'm a life design and manifestation expert, a 7-figure entrepreneur, wellness educator, and a dance teacher. And I'm passionate about helping you create a magical and fulfilling life. Whether you want to discover your purpose, learn how to attract financial abundance, or create more health, balance, joy, and connection in your life, the Soul Craft Your Life podcast has got you covered. 1 part strategy and 1 part soul. Each week we explore both the practical and the spiritual with intriguing experts and fascinating human beings, all sharing their wisdom to help expand what we think is possible for our own lives. The goal? To help you create a life you love on your own terms that stems from your soul. Let's dive in and discover what this life has to offer each of us. Hello, gorgeous souls, and welcome to episode 25, how to bring more magic into your life and why it's important, and specifically why it's important to manifestation. So as we know, everything is energy, everything is frequency and vibration. But I want to break that down because sometimes it can kind of become just a cliche where we're like, oh yeah, everything is energy, but what does that actually mean? Well, what it means is that everything, so thoughts, feelings, everything vibrates at a certain caliber. So things like love have a really high vibration rate. So the frequency is very high. And then things like fear or anxiety or anger has a low frequency. So when we think about the things that we want to manifest, so we want a more expanded life, we want to have a career or a business that we just love, we want to have really juicy connections, we want to live in beautiful places, we want to make a difference in the world. Those are all things that vibrate at a higher level. And so if we're stuck in anxiety and stress and fear and negativity, we're vibrating at a lower rate. So of course, we're not going to be a match for those things that we want, which always tend to be, of course, higher vibration things, because of course we don't want lower vibration things. So the whole idea behind the quantum physics of energy is that we want to match energetically, frequency, vibration, the things that we want. So in order to do that, the more that we feel good, the more we will vibrate at a higher rate, and then it's easier to attract the things that we want. And so this is why we always want to think about, okay, how can I feel good? Now, I do want to have a caveat, and I'm going to do a whole other podcast on this. It doesn't mean that we should fear or suppress our negative thoughts. In fact, it's exactly the opposite, because if we're fearing or we're suppressing our negative thoughts or limiting beliefs, they just get stuck in our body. So we actually want to acknowledge them and move through them. I'm going to do a whole other podcast about that because there's such a thing as spiritual bypassing, which means that we're always Pollyanna-ish and we're always positive, and that's not the way to be either. We are a whole human. We have a whole range of emotions. We can get angry sometimes. We can get frustrated. We can get anxious. That is all okay. It's part of the human experience, but we just want to have the skills and the tools to move past that, not suppress it, but move past it. So I'm going to talk about that in a whole other podcast. I'm just going to stay focused on this idea of how do we create a higher frequency so that we can live more into that frequency. And we'll come back to this topic of still being a whole human being and experiencing the whole range of emotions. Okay, so how do we feel more good in our lives? How do we experience less stress, tension, anxiety, and more relaxation, more pleasure, more happiness? How do we relax our nervous system so that in the grand scheme of things, we're bringing in more of how we actually want to feel for a bigger portion of our life? So then we can actually attract those things that vibrate on a higher level more easily into our life. And we can do this by bringing more magic, more yumminess, more pleasure, fun, delight, surprise into our lives. And a really easy way to think about this is remember when you first fell in love, and we've all had that, maybe multiple times. That feeling when you fall in love, just everything glows, everything works better. And it's also like even business, when you're falling in love, you get more clients, everything works smoothly. And the reason being, when we fall in love, we're vibrating at a higher frequency. And we have like these rose-colored glasses, the whole world looks better, we feel better. Even when we think of women when they're pregnant, they have this glow about them because they're so happy, they're bringing a new life into this world. So we know how this feels, that when we are at a certain vibration, just everything works. So I want you to think about that feeling of when you have fallen in love, because we're actually going to bring that into everyday life, how you can actually feel like you're falling in love in everyday life. And with manifestation, it's all about the feeling. Feeling is where it is at. The more that we can actually think about how do I want to feel and the things that I want, how would that make me feel? And then by bringing that feeling into our everyday life, we actually start taking on the identity of the things that we want, and we're vibrating at the same level of the things that we want. And it all goes back to feeling. This is the other thing too about manifestation. Whatever we create the most emotion around, the most feeling around, that's what our subconscious says, ooh, that's really important to her. And this is such a key to manifestation, because if we have limiting beliefs in the opposite way, where we have a lot of emotion around them. So let's say we have a traumatic event in our childhood, or we have something in our business where we felt like we failed and we have a lot of shame and despair and disappointment around it. Anything that we have a lot of emotion around, that's what our subconscious prioritizes. And so this is why it's so important to really heal the things that we have trauma around or disappointment around. And in the same way, attach a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling around the things that we do want. Because again, the subconscious, how does it prioritize what it will focus on? Whatever you give the most emotion and feeling to. And so this is so brilliant in manifestation, because we can heal the things that we have a lot of negative emotion or limiting beliefs around. And then also we can give a lot of beautiful feeling and emotion to the things that we want. Okay, so let's think about, again, since we know this is feeling, and we want to create more of the feeling of magic, yumminess, delight, pleasure, surprise into our life. So how do we do that? We want to bring more magic into our everyday life. And I'm going to give you 6 ways to easily do this. So number 1, you want to fall in love. So now this doesn't mean that you have to go fall in love with a person, which it could be that. But what I mean is falling in love with your life, with you, with your environment, re-falling in love with your current partner, your current husband, your current wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. Falling in love with your kids, falling in love with your pets. And what this means is encapsulating the feeling of when we have fallen in love in the past, but we want to transmute that feeling into everyday life. So think about in your life, where can you go on? And I love when Esther Hicks said this. I think she said this in a workshop I went to years ago. And she said, go on a gratitude rampage. And I thought that is like the most beautiful turn of phrase. So what that means is like looking around and saying, okay, what do I appreciate in my partner? What do I appreciate in my life? What am I grateful for? And even just the little things, like maybe you're sitting at your desk like I am right now doing this podcast, and I can feel the breeze coming in from outside, and it's like feels so good on my skin. Just that makes us feel more alive. And oh my goodness, I feel so good. That breeze feels so good. Or, I can look across the room and I can see my 2 cats play fighting, which brings me so much joy. Like I can just look at them and think, oh my goodness, they're the cutest things. So what it means is just falling in love with things around you and appreciating. So go for a day where everything that you look at, you're looking at how can I appreciate it? How can I let it make me feel more alive? So let's say with your partner, for example, go a whole day where you're like, oh my goodness, he does this so well. Or she, oh my goodness, she has the best sense of humor. I love her hair. I love his shoe, just anything. I love how he compliments me. Go through a whole day looking for things that you can appreciate. Re-fall in love with your life, your environment, everything around you. Whatever we put our attention on, that grows, of course, and the universe loves appreciation and gratitude. Now, all of these things are going to help you manifest more quickly. It's going to just make you feel better. But also, this is just going to make your life a whole heck of a lot more enjoyable. And then that, of course, is going to help you manifest more quickly too. Okay, so number 1 is fall in love with your life. And that means tangibly appreciation and gratitude everywhere. And then, of course, what we focus on, we're going to get more of. Number 2, do things that you love every single day. Now, you know that one of my biggest loves is dance. And one of the reasons I love dance so much is just by teaching a class, just by choreographing something, just by turning on some music, I instantly feel better. And so that is my way to tap into my life force, to joy, to enjoyment every single day. And even when I'm down, I can turn on a song that I love, or I can start to choreograph something and it shifts my mood so quickly. And literally, that is why I dance every day, and it's in every part of my business. It's one of the quickest ways for me to tap into magic. And again, magic is just a feeling of feeling magical and happy and light and surprise and delight. And remember, all of these things are helping you get into the frequency of magic enjoyment, which is going to help you manifest more quickly. So what is it that you absolutely love? Is it yoga classes? Is it cooking? Is it personal development? Is it pottery? Is it painting? And bring that into your life every single day. I also recommend, and all of my courses are based on this, centering your business and your life around what you love. So whatever it is that you love, bringing it into your business, bringing it into your career, that is going to give you so much more juice in everything that you do. But just in terms of strictly manifesting, doing things that you love every single day is going to get you into that magical energy. Hi, lovely soul. It's Carmen here, and I'm interrupting this episode to tell you about my brand new free manifesting guide. So, do you feel a little stuck when it comes to manifesting? Maybe you've been dabbling in this world of manifestation, but it's just not flowing. Or maybe you're just an inch away from your dreams, but you can't seem to break through. Or perhaps you're brand new to manifestation and you're 100% ready to tap into your superpowers, but you're not quite sure how to get started. You are not alone. We all have our moments of doubt. And here's the truth. We all encounter a few sneaky reasons that can slow us down. And so I've just created a brand new guide, and it's called the 7 Sneaky Reasons You're Not Manifesting. And more importantly, what you can do about them. I talk about common manifestation hiccups, practical steps to reawaken your manifestation mojo and start turning your dreams into reality now. So to get you started or back into your manifestation flow, go to carmenmarshall.com/7, like the number, sneaky, SNEAKY. So again, /7 sneaky, and I'll put it in the show notes too. Drop in your email and I'll send you the free guide straight to your inbox. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. Number 3, create magic and yumminess in your everyday life. So this is so important because how we do anything is how we do everything. And how we live our days is how we end up living our life. And so often we can think of, oh, when I'm on holidays, I'll read more and I'll, wake up a little bit later in the day and I'll take a walk on the beach. But that's only 2 weeks of our life. What are you doing every day to just love your life every day? And it's the little things, like lighting a candle when you journal, going to the market and getting fresh flowers for your house. Or if you've seen one of my recent Instagram reels, going down the street where there's a frangipani tree and picking up the flowers that are on the ground and bringing them back into my house. Maybe burning incense, taking a cup of coffee and just going sitting for a moment and just enjoying the solitude and the peace and the smell of the coffee. But just doing little things that make your life juicy every single day. And sometimes we can think, well, I don't have time for that. But the thing is, if we don't have time for it, we've got to change our life. If you don't have time to enjoy your life every day, something has to change because your days make up your life. There's probably nothing more important besides figuring out who you are, your authentic self, and what you're here to do, your purpose. Are the days that I'm living, do I absolutely love them? Do I enjoy them? Now, of course, we're going to have times where there's stress in our job or our relationship. There's ups and downs of life. So again, this is not ignoring the whole spectrum of being human, but it's thinking about how am I living every day and am I actually living the life that I want? And just by these little things, it doesn't mean that we have to live in Bali all the time. We can actually bring the things that we love about that holiday that we took into our life every single day. So how can you create more magic and yumminess? Maybe that means just taking a little bit more time at the breakfast table talking with your partner. Maybe it means making time for that 20-minute walk just down the street. But every day thinking, how can I make my life more magical and yummy and juicy and fun today? because our days are what make up our life. And then, of course, if you're bringing that into you, your body is getting more used to this feeling of feeling good. And then it no longer wants to spend time worrying, being anxious, being angry, because it's got more of a sense of what it feels like to feel good. And it's going to start craving that. And the more that we can crowd out the time that we spend in negativity and anxiety, the better. Number 4, get out in nature. This is one of the things that will help you feel magical so naturally, because as soon as we're out in fresh air, we're around plants, we notice like the butterfly, the bird, it immediately puts us into that feeling of magic and synchronicity and enjoyment and aliveness. And we're meant to get out in nature. A lot of us do live in cities, but there's parks nearby. You can walk even down your street where there's trees, just anything where you're getting out into the air and you're getting out into nature as much as possible. Now, going for a walk sometimes is kind of a funny thing, because when we feel anxious or we feel really busy, it's the last thing we want to do. But as soon as you go outside, you're like, why didn't I do this before? So what I always like to do is make getting outside a non-negotiable, where like no matter what, at least every other day, I have to go outside and go for a walk. Because I just know me that when I'm busy, it's like one of those things I can say, oh, I'll do that later. But I also know if I get outside, I'm like, why didn't I do this earlier? I feel so much better. So it's one of these things that I really suggest making a non-negotiable. I'm going to go for a walk, even if it's for 20 minutes every other day, or every day would be even better. Number 5, notice magical things. And this is just a little way to bring more of that magic into your life. So tiny little things like your phone. When you look down and it says 111 or 222. And it's just like a little, like, oh, isn't that neat? Isn't that magical? Rainbows. As soon as I see a rainbow outside, I run outside to just like notice it and appreciate it. Synchronicities. So when you're like, oh my goodness, that's such a synchronicity, notice that, because it's just bringing more of those magical moments in your life that make you feel good. And my favorite are pings. And pings are those things that are little nudges from the universe and your subconscious to take action. So as you know, I'm so big on getting clear on what you want and then listening for the pings. So the little intuitive hits of an action to take, and then taking aligned action. And that's where you bring more magic into your life, literally, like physically, because you're actually following those little intuitive hits from the universe, from your subconscious, that will lead to your manifestation. So notice little things like on your phone, on the clock, just the 111s, rainbows, synchronicities, and especially pings. But notice the magical things that are in your life, and that'll bring more magic into your life. And then finally, remember when you felt magic, when you felt magical in your life, and keep doing that. So for me, the places and things that I've noticed in my life where I feel really magical and in my feminine and just things flow and I feel alive. When I went to visit Maui years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, I just feel so good here. And the same thing for Bali. And so I've always looked for ways to bring that feeling into my life and also to set my life up around that. So of course, I ended up buying a house in Maui. I ended up creating my life in Bali. But even when I'm not there, I'm always looking for ways, how can I bring that magic into my life now? Because I remember how I felt. I remember that feeling of feeling magical and connected and alive and connected to source. And so even when I'm not there, because we don't have to be reliant on the specific details to always be in our life to feel that way, we can just think of, okay, when did I feel the most magical? And how can I bring that into my life now? So remember where you felt magical and then bring that into your life now in whatever way. And as I mentioned, I bring frangipani flowers into my house here. I'm always like living in houses that have lots of plants around them, indoors and outdoors, because that reminds me of Maui and Bali, even when I'm not living there. All right. Well, I hope this is helpful for you of how to bring more magic into your life now to help you with manifestation. And the whole idea is we want to increase our frequency and our vibration. Again, not to dismiss the times that we feel down. That's totally fine as well. But how can we bring more of that feeling of higher vibration into our life as more of the standard that we live in? So it can be the predominant feeling, the predominant vibration that we live in. So by falling in love with our life, or re-falling in love with our life, Number 2, doing things that you love every single day. Number 3, creating magic and yumminess in your life every day. Number 4, getting out into nature as much as possible. Number 5, noticing the magical things in your life. And then number 6, remembering when you felt the most magical and keep doing that, bringing that into your life now. So it is going to be the holidays soon. Oh my goodness, just crazy how fast this year has gone, eh? Although I say that every single year. So this is the last podcast for 2023. I will see you in 2024. I hope you have the best holiday wherever you are in the world, however you celebrate it. Take a lot of time just to relax, have fun, connect. And I really look forward to working with you in 2024 and creating the life that we love, soul crafting our life, really figuring out who we are, what we're here to do, and creating that life that we absolutely love, and really impacting others and the world. Because the more that we figure out who we are and what we're here to do, that gives permission for other people to do the same thing. So have a beautiful holiday season, and I will see you in 2024, and all my love. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd absolutely love if you left a review on iTunes. It really helps me to get the podcast out there to support more people just like you to create soulful lives. And as a thank you, I'd love to send you my 20 personal affirmations for manifesting an aligned, magical, and fulfilling life. To access this freebie, simply send a screenshot of your review to soulcraft@carmenmarshall.com, and I'll send you my favorite affirmations and mantras straight to your inbox. All my love, and I'll see you on the next episode.